Welcome. Tonight, let your mind drift into the quiet corners of the English language. You're about to hear a collection of rare and beautiful words, each one chosen for its uniqueness, its sound, and the way it settles gently on the tongue. There's no story to follow, no plot to remember, just a slow, peaceful unfolding of language, designed to lull you to sleep. The images will stay dark, but whimsical. The words will flow, and all you have to do is listen. Let's begin. Cabaline, like or pertaining to or suited to a horse. Cabas, woman's work basket or handbag. Cabasse, light iron helmet. Cable, heavy rope or chain for mooring a ship. Caboshed, heraldic animal shown in full face with no neck or body. Cabochon, highly polished convex gem. Caboose, kitchen on the deck of a ship. Cabotage, shipping and sailing between points in the same country. Cabré, flying upside down with tail down. Cabri, a pronghorn. Cabrilla, Atlantic sea base. Cabriole, curved furniture leg ending in a ball, exuberant dance or caper. Cabriolet, two-wheeled carriage. Cachesthesia, morbid sensation. Cachemic, having diseased or poisoned blood. Cachalot, sperm whale. Cachalot, large whale with teeth in the lower jaw. Cachepot, ornamental container used to conceal a flower pot. Cachet, a seal of approval, a mark of prestige. Cachexic, having an unhealthy physical or mental state. Cachinnate, to laugh loudly and inappropriately. Cacidrosis, smelly sweat. Cac, rubbish, worthless nonsense. Cacodemomania, pathological belief that one is inhabited by an evil spirit. Cacodoxy, bad doctrine or wrong opinion. Cacope, poor or wrong pronunciation. Cacoethes, insatiable desire or mania, bad habit. Cacogen, antisocial person. Cacogenics, study of racial degeneration. Cacography, bad handwriting or spelling. Cacale, military mule litter. Cacology, bad choice of words or faulty pronunciation. Cacomissal, raccoon-like animal of the American Southwest. Caconym, wrongly derived name. Cacotopia, a state in which everything is as bad as it can be. Cacuminal, retroflex, pertaining to a point, crown, top or peak. Cadaster, record of ownership and value of property. Caddis, worsted yarn. Cadge, to beg or sponge from another. Cadleska, chief judge in the Turkish Empire. Cadrons, instrument by which a gem is adjusted while being cut. Caducary, passing or expiring due to lapse or forfeit. Caduceator, herald, messenger. Caducity, being of a transitory or impermanent nature. Cecity, blindness. Kenogenesis, process of growth in individual not common in its species. Caesaropapism, control of the church by a secular ruler. Caesius, bluish or greyish-green. Cespitose, growing in clusters or tufts. Caesura, natural breathing space in a line of verse. Caesura, vertical line in a text used to indicate a pause or prosodic break. Caphar, depression, the blues. Caphoi, velvety fabric. Cacamosis, unhappy marriage. Cagoule, lightweight waterproof hooded garment. Caiman, small alligator-like reptile. Cairngorm, yellow-brown quartz. Caisson, vehicle or chest for holding ammunition. Caitiff base, cowardly, despicable. Cakewalk, prancing stage dance with backward tilt. Calamanco, satin twilled woolen fabric. Calamist, piper, one who plays using a reed. Calamus, quill or reed used as a pen. Calando, slowing with gradually lowering volume. Calandra, thick-bodied Mediterranean lark. Calash, light low-wheeled carriage with folding top. Clathiform, cup-shaped. Calathus, fruit basket carried on the head. Calcar, furnace or oven for annealing. Calcariferous, having or bearing spurs. Calcariform, spur-shaped. Calciate, to shoe. Calciform, shaped like a slipper. Calciferous, bearing lime. Calciform, pebble-shaped. Calcifuge, plant that will not tolerate limey soil. Calcimin, to whitewash. Calcine, to burn so as to drive out water and carbon dioxide. Calcivorous, feeding on or living in limestone. Calcographer, one who draws with crayons or pastels. Calefacient, warming, anything that warms. Calefactory, a monastery sitting room. Calendar, machine with rollers which presses paper or cloth. Calentia, tropical fever due to heat exposure. Calesa, small two-wheeled horse-drawn buggy. Calescence, increase in heat. Calico, plain white cotton. Calicula, like a chalice or cup. Caliginous, misty, dark, dim, obscure. Caliology, study of birds' nests. Calipace, turtle's carapace. Calyx, cup, chalice. Calk, pointed piece on a horseshoe to prevent slipping. Callant, boy, fellow. Calligram, design using the letters of a word. Calipagus, having beautiful buttocks. Calistea, awards given for beauty. Callithump, boisterous and noisy parade. Callow, unfledged, inexperienced. Calodemon, good or beneficial spirit. Calorifacient, producing or generating heat. Calorifix, study of heat. Calorimeter, instrument for measuring absorbed or evolved heat. Calotte, Roman Catholic skull cap. Calque, word or expression introduced into a language by literally translating it. Calumet, ornamented ceremonial pipe. Calumniate, to slander, misrepresent, besmirch. Calumny, vile misrepresentation. Calvary, experience of intense mental suffering. Calver, to prepare fish while alive or freshly caught. Calvities, baldness. Calvus, bold. Calicine, of, like or pertaining to a cup or calyx. Calyx, outer covering of a flower. Camarca, fine silk fabric. Camailleux, monotonous or uninteresting play or literary work. Camail, chainmail armour for the neck and shoulders. Cayman, shinty stick. Camarilla, secret society of favourites of the king. Camber, slight arch or convexity to a beam or deck of a ship. Cambist, person skilled in the science of financial exchange. Cambistry, science of international exchange. Cambium, soft tissue found in trees. Cambracene, fine linen fabric. Cambric, fine thin white cotton or linen fabric. Cameline, of, like or pertaining to camels. Camelius, jocular term describing camel's hump. Camelopard, giraffe. Camelot, newspaper vendor. Camelry, troops mounted on camels. Cameralism, mercantilism designed to increase a ruler's power. Camerated, divided into separate chambers. Cameriere, waiter or valet. Camerlengo, papal treasurer. Camisade, night attack. Camisole, straitjacket used for unruly prisoners. Camlet, strong waterproof silk or wool fabric. Camorra, group united for nefarious or traitorous ends. Camouflet, mine used to destroy underground enemy emplacement. Campagnole, short-tailed field mouse. Campaniform bell-shaped campanile, freestanding bell tower on church property. Campanology, the art of bell ringing. Campanulate, shaped like a bell. Campestral, of, like or pertaining to the country, pertaining to level ground. Camstery, perverse, unruly. Canaille, riffraff, proletarian, the mob, rabble. Canaliculate, grooved or channeled lengthwise. Canard, false rumour, hoax. Canary, lively Renaissance courtly dance. Cancellarial, of like or pertaining to a chancellor, cancellous, having a porous structure. Cancerophobia, fear of cancer. Cancreform, shaped like a crab. Cancrene, of, like or pertaining to crabs, palindromic. Cancrisons, moving backwards, repeating a musical theme backwards. Candela, unit of luminous intensity. Candent, heated to whiteness. Candescent, glowing hotly. Canephore, sculpted figure carrying a basket on the head. Canescent, hoary, tending to become white or grey. Caneva, fancy woolen fabric made to resemble canvas. Canazoo, woman's garment like a blouse. Cang, wooden yoke hung around a criminal's neck. Canicide, killer of a dog. Canicula, of, like or pertaining to the dog star. Canities, whiteness of the hair. Cannel, bevel on the edge of a chisel. Cannelure, groove or fluting. Cannikin, small can or drinking vessel. Cannonade, an attack with heavy artillery. Cannonarchy, government by superior firepower or by cannons. Cannula, hollow or tube-shaped. Canoness, woman living in a community under a religious rule. Canonicate, the rank or office of a canon. Canophilia, love or fondness for dogs. Canopus, verse for holding dead individuals' inner organs. Canorous, musical, singing, resonant. Conch, Chinese cotton fabric. Cantabank, strolling singer, second-rate musician. Cantative of, like or pertaining to singing. Cantatrice, female singer. Cantor, person who makes hypocritical or affected statements. Canterbury, stand with divisions for holding books or music. Canthus, angle between eyelids at the corner of the eye. Canticle, short holy song or sung prayer. Cantillate, to chant or intone. Cantle, corner, edge or slice of anything. Canton, dexter, chief region of a heraldic field. Cantonment, small military town. Cantorial, located on the north side of the choir in a church. Canzone, instrumental work that is melodious or song-like. Caparison, ornamented covering for a horse. Caparison, armour for a horse. Capelin, surgical bandage for the stump of amputated limb. Small iron skull cap. Capelocracy, government by shopkeepers. Capious, writ authorizing the arrest of a person. Capillaceous, hair-like. Capilotade, stewed meat dish. Capistrate, hooded. Capitalism, doctrine that private ownership and free markets should govern economies. Capitation, numbering of individuals, head tax. Capitulary, of, like or pertaining to a chapter of an organization. Capel, a horse. Capnomancy, divination by means of smoke. Caponnier, covered passage across a moat or ditch. Capriolate, having or resembling tentacles. Capric, having a goat-like smell, of, like or pertaining to goats. Caprifoliaceous, of like or pertaining to the honeysuckle plant. Capriform, goat-like. Caprine, of, like or pertaining to goats. Capriole, leap and kick performed by a trained horse. Capripede, satyr. Capruncle, earthen vessel. capstan, upright device for winding in heavy ropes or cables. Captation, attempt to obtain applause or recognition. Captious, peevish, ready to take offence or find fault. Capuchin, pointed hooded cloak worn by friars. Capybara, tailless aquatic rodent of South America. Caracal, long-legged nocturnal cat of African and Asian savannas with long ears. Caracara, long-legged South American falcon. Caracole, spiral staircase, a half-turn by a trained horse. Caravanserai, inn or rest station for caravans. Carbazus, lint or gauze. Carboniferous, bearing carbon. Carboy, large green bottle encased in wicker. Carbuncle, architectural monstrosity or eyesore, red precious stone. Carcanet, ornamental necklace, collar or headband. Carcelage, or prison fees. Carceral, of, like or pertaining to prisons. Carcinology, study of crabs and other crustaceans. Cardialgia, heartburn. Cardimelec, supposed vital force causing heart to work. Cardinal, deep scarlet red colour. Cardinalitial, of like or pertaining to church cardinals. Cardiognost, one who knows the workings of the heart. Cardiograph, instrument for recording movements of the heart. Cardioid, heart-shaped. Cardophagus, donkey, something that eats thistles. Careen, to turn a ship on its side in order to clean or repair it. Carrot, mark used to note an omission. Carfax, place where four roads meet, intersection of roads at centre of a town. Carfral, compound of carbon, iron and aluminium. Caracology, study of sedges. Caracus, of, like or pertaining to figs. Carillon, set of bells of different sizes. Carinated, shaped like the prow or keel of a ship. Cariniform, keel-shaped. Carioca, variation of the samba. Cariogenic, causing dental cavities. Cariole, light open carriage. Carious, of, like or pertaining to dental cavities decayed. Caritative, generous, charitable. Carative, indicating lack of something. Carking, imposing great hardship or strain. Carminative, expelling, causing or relieving flatulence. Carnaptious, bad-tempered, cantankerous. Carnassial, specially adapted for eating flesh. Carneous, fleshy, flesh-coloured, like or pertaining to flesh. Carne, customs or other permit, book of coupons. Carnivorous, bearing flesh, fleshy. Carnifex, executioner. Carnification, conversion into flesh. Carnificial, of, like or pertaining to butchers or executioners. Carnificin, place of execution, office of the executioner. Carnose, fleshy, of or like, flesh. Caroche, stately carriage used on ceremonial occasions. Carpal, of, like or pertaining to the wrist. Carphology, fitful plucking movements as in delirium. Carpogynous, producing or bearing fruit. Carpology, study of fruit. Carpophagus, fruit-eating. Carrack, galleon. Carrywitchet, a quip or quibble, a pun, a conundrum. Carronade, short and light maritime cannon. Cartilaginous, like or composed of cartilage. Cartomancy, telling fortunes using playing cards. Cartophily, the hobby of collecting cigarette cards. Cartouche, oval, or scroll-shaped ornamentation on monument or tomb. Cartulary, keeper of monastic records. Carucadia as much land as a team of oxen ploughs in a season. Caruncle, any fleshy growth on the body. Cariatid, column shaped like female figure. Cascabel, part behind the base ring of a cannon. Cascrum, spade with bent handle for tilling soil. Casify, to become or make cheese-like. Casemate, bomb-proof chamber or armoured compartment. Caseus, cheese-like. Casson, barrack or billet for soldiers. Cashmere, soft twilled fabric made of fine goat's wool. Cashmerette, soft imitation of cashmere. Casque, helmet. Casque, light open-faced helmet. Cascatel, light steel helmet with no visor. Cassation, annulment, overthrow of legal decision. Cassidius, helmet-shaped. Cassimere, closely woven twilled cloth of fine wool. Cassock, close-fitting ankle-length clergyman's garment. Cassowary, large flightless Melanesian bird. Castaneus, chestnut-coloured. Castellan, governor of castle or fortification. Castella, of, like or pertaining to a castle. Castellated, having battlements or turrets. Castaphrenia, belief that one's thoughts are being stolen. Castry, brown colour, brown dye derived from beaver pelts. Castral, of or belonging to the camp. Castrametation, the art of designing a camp. Casualism, the belief that chance governs all things. Casuistry, plausible but flawed moral reasoning. Catabaptism, belief in the wrongness of infant baptism. Catabasis, the decline of a disease in a population. Catachresis, incorrect usage of a word. Catachthonian, underground, subterranean. Cataclasm, disruption, breaking down. Catacoustics, science of echoes or reflected sounds. Catadioptric, employing both reflection and refraction of light. Catadromous, migrating from fresh to salt water to spawn. Catafalque, temporary tomb used in funerals and processions. Catalactic, of, like or pertaining to exchange. Catalactics, science of commercial exchange. Catalectic, incomplete, missing final syllable. Catamite, boy kept for homosexual purposes. Catamount, any wild species of mountain lion or large cat. Catapedomania, obsession with jumping from high places. Cataphract, suit of mail, soldier in full armour, armoured ship. Cataphysical, unnatural. Cataplasm, plaster or poultice. Cataplexy, condition feigning death used by animals. Catarolysis, letting off steam by cursing. Catarrhine, of, like or pertaining to old world monkeys. Cataster, scaffold or stage for torture or selling slaves. Catastaltic, astringent. Catastasis, introductory part of speech where narrator introduces subject. Catastasis, part of drama with highest action. Climax. Catastrophism, belief in rapid geological and biological change. Catchpole, constable, sheriff's officer. Catechetics, the art of teaching by question and answer. Catechumen, one undergoing instruction prior to conversion to Christianity. Catena, series, chain, or sequence. Catenarian, of, like, or pertaining to chains. Catenet, to connect as in or by a chain. Catenula, chain-like. Cateran, a Scottish military irregular or brigand. Cathead, projection near the bow of a ship to which anchor is secured. Cathedra, chair or throne of office for a bishop or other high official. Cathetometer, instrument for measuring short vertical distances. Cathexis, investment of emotional energy in a thought or idea. Cathisma, short hymn used as response. Cathizophobia, fear of sitting. Catholicon, cure-all, panacea. Catholicos, primate of Armenian or Nestorian Church. Catogenic, formed from above. Catoptric, of, like or pertaining to reflection or reflected light. Catoptromancy, divination by examining mirror placed under water. Caudal, of, like, or pertaining to the tail. Caudiform, tail-like, tail-shaped. Caudal, warm drink given to the sick. Caul, net or similar covering for the head, after birth. Cauliform, shaped like or resembling a stem. Cauliginous, originating on the stem of a plant. Caulataxy, disposition and location of branches on a stem. Corponet, to engage in questionable trade for the sake of gain. Causative, indicating causation by. Causery, chat or gossip, short and informal essay. Causidical, of, like or pertaining to those who plead legal cases. Causamancy, divination by means of fire. Cautelous, treacherous. Cunning, wily, cautious. Cavaquinho, four-stringed Brazilian ukulele. Cavatina, short operatic air. Caverniculus, cave-dwelling. Caverniloquy, cavernous voice of a patient heard over a patient's lung cavity. Cavernulus, full of small cavities or holes. Cavesson, noseband for a horse. Cavicorn, hollow-horned. Cavil, to raise trivial and frivolous objections. Sebocephalic, having a head shaped like a monkey's. Cecils, minced meat made into balls and fried. Cecity, blindness, secuciancy, a tendency toward blindness. Cedia, mark placed under letter C to indicate pronunciation as S. Cedrate, citron. Ceilometer, instrument for measuring height of cloud ceiling above earth. Celadon, pale green glazed pottery. Celation, concealment. Celesta, keyboard instrument with hammers that strike on steel plates. Celeste, sky blue. Celidography, descriptions of markings on the sun, a planet or moon. Cella, inner chamber of a classical temple. Cellera, monastery official in charge of provisions. Cellaret, case or drawer for holding wine bottles. Celliferous, bearing cells. Celluliferous, bearing little cells. Celsitude, loftiness. Celt, prehistoric beveled edge axe. Celtus, lettuce with an edible stalk. Cementatory, having the quality of binding or uniting firmly. Cementum, hard tissue covering roots of teeth. Scenical, meeting or dining room group with common interests. Scenical, room where the Last Supper was eaten. Scenatory, of, like or pertaining to supper. Sendal, silk fabric resembling taffeta. Ceneromancy, divination using ashes. Cenobite, monk, member of religious group. Cenobe, monastery or convent. Xenophobia, fear of empty spaces. Cenote, deep natural well. Censer, vessel for burning incense in religious rituals. Centesimal, counting or counted by hundreds or hundredths. Centiloquy, work consisting of 100 aphorisms attributed to Ptolemy. Centner, old unit of weight equal to about 110 pounds. Cento, patchwork composition, collection of short quotations. Centrobaric, of, like or pertaining to the centre of gravity. Centuple, hundredfold. Cep, brown edible mushroom. Cepacious, smelling or tasting of garlic or onion. Cephalate, having a head. cephalization, placing of major organs and bodily functions in the head. Cephalonomancy, divination by boiling an ass head. Cephalophore, decapitated saint depicted with head tucked under arm. Cephalopod, creature with tentacles or limbs attached to head. Sepivorous, onion-eating. Ceraceous, resembling wax. Ceramography, historical description of types of pottery. Serrated, covered with wax. Ceratoid, shaped like a horn, horny. Seronograph, instrument for recording thunder and lightning. Seronomancy, divination using thunderbolts. Seronoscopy, divination using lightning. Cerberic, vigilant, dragon-like, like Cerberus. Cercopithecus, of, like or pertaining to long-tailed monkeys. Circus, tail-like appendage. Cerebration, unconscious action of the brain. Cerements, clothes placed on a deceased individual. Surge, large wax candle burned before the altar. Ceriferous, producing wax. Cerise, bright reddish pink. Cernuous, drooping or hanging. Cerography, writing or printing on plates spread with wax. Ceromancy, divination by means of wax drippings. Ceroscopy, divination using wax. Certs, in truth, certainly. Cerulean, sky blue, dark blue. Cerumen earwax. Ceraminiferous, bearing or yielding earwax. Cervelat, short bassoon-like instrument. Cervelat, smoked pork sausage. Cervelier, steel cap worn under a great helm. Cervicide, killing of a deer. Cervicorn, branching like antlers. Cervine, of, pertaining to or resembling deer. Elk or moose. Cervisial, of like or pertaining to beer. Cesius, bluish-grey. Cesspitus, composed of or resembling turf. Cessionary, someone to which something is ceded. Cetacean, type of aquatic mammal including whales and dolphins. Cetae, collective name for a group of badgers. Ceticide, killing of whales and other cetaceans. Cetology, study of whales and dolphins. Sieve sail, ornamental corner of a coat. Shabuk, horsewhip. Chacon, Spanish Baroque dance in triple time. Chad, bits of paper punched out of paper tape or cards. Chetiferous, bearing bristles, bristly. Chetophorous, in need of a shave. Chaffer, to bargain or haggle. Chain, unit of length equal to 22 yards. Chaise, light open carriage for 1 or 2 people. Chelastic, laxative. Chalcography, the art of engraving on copper or brass. Chalcotriptychs, art of taking rubbings from ornamental brasses. Chaldron, old unit of dry volume equal to between 32 and 72 bushels. Chalice, soft lightweight silk, wool or cotton fabric. Chalipsography, art of engraving on steel. Chambranle, decoration around a door frame or fireplace. Chambray, lightweight fabric with coloured warp and white filling. Chambray, wine kept at room temperature. Chamfer, to channel or make furrows upon, to bevel. Chamfrung, piece of leather to protect a war horse's face. Chamois, cotton fabric made in imitation of chamois leather. Chamois, goat-like antelope of mountainous regions of Europe. Champagne, level countryside, or plain. Champathy, illegal contract to finance a lawsuit for a percentage fee. Chancel, part of church containing altar and seats for choir. Chancery, church office dealing with legal matters and archives. Chandelle, sharp upward turn in aviation. Chantage, blackmail to prevent exposure of scandalous facts. Chanter, part of bagpipes on which the melody is played. Chanticleer, a rooster. Chantry, chapel or altar built for prayers for its benefactor's soul. Chaology, the study of chaos or chaos theory. Chaomancy, divination by examining phenomena of the air. Chapbook, small independently produced popular book. Chaplet, circlet or wreath for the head, short string of prayer beads. Chaptalize, to add extra sugar to wine to raise alcohol content. Charabanc, open tourist coach. Characterology, study of development of character. Chariantism, expression of an unpleasant thing in an agreeable manner. Euphemism. Charivari, cacophonous mock serenade performed for wedding. Chark, to burn wood to charcoal. Charleston, fast-paced 1920s dance characterized by energetic kicking. Charmant, silk fabric with a crepe back. Charmeuse, soft and satiny silk fabric. Charnel, room where corpses are placed. Charnel, hinge of a helmet for the visor. Charpy, shredded lint used to dress wounds. Chartaceous, papery. Charterhouse, Carthusian monastic building. Chartreuse, yellow-green colour. Chary, discreetly cautious or sparing. Chasmogamy, opening of a flower in order to be fertilized. Chasmophil, lover of nooks and crannies. Chasmophilus, fond of nooks, crevices and crannies. Chasseur, hunter, liveried hotel attendant. Chasuble, sleeveless ecclesiastical garment. Chatelaine, female castle owner, manager or caretaker. Chatelaine, ring attached to belt for carrying keys. Chaton, setting or stone of a finger ring. Chatoyant, with a changing lustre, iridescent. Chauffeur, small furnace. Chausses, male coverings for the lower legs and feet. Chaussures, general name for boots and shoes, footwear. Chaudron, entrails. Chyloplasty, plastic surgery on the lip. Chiloproclitic, attracted to lips. Cheliferous, bearing pincers or claws. Cheliform, shaped like a pincer. Chelonian, of like or pertaining to tortoises or turtles. Chenille, velvety silk, wool or cotton fabric with protruding pile. Chernozem, black earth typically found in cool grassland climates. Chersonese, peninsula. Chesil, gravel. Chessel, cheese mould. Chevalet, bridge of a stringed instrument. Cheveline, horse meat. Chevaster, double bandage for supporting chin in case of broken jaw. Chevelure, nebulous part of a comet. Cheverel, soft, flexible. Kid skin leather. Chevet, east end of a church. Cheville, unnecessary word used to extend line of verse. Cheviot, coarse, heavy plain or twilled wool or worsted. Chevisance, resource, achievement, gain. Chevron, goat flesh. Chevrotain, small deer-like mammal. Chevrotain, small cloven-footed deer-like animal of Southeast Asia. Chiaroscuro, juxtaposition of light and shade in artwork or literature. Chiasmus, contrast by parallelism in reverse order. Chicanery, clever but misleading talk, deception. Chiffon, sheer silk fabric. Chiffonnier, chest of drawers. Chignon, knot or roll of hair worn at the back of the head. Chilgoza, edible pine seed. Chiliad, 1000. Chilihedron, 1,000-sided solid figure. Chiliarchy, government by 1,000 people. Chiliasm, belief that Jesus will reign on earth for 1,000 years. chiliastic, millenarian. Chiliom, sacrifice of 1,000 animals. Chilopod, multi-legged insect. Chimere, loose sleeveless robes worn by Anglican bishops. Chimerical, imaginary, fanciful. Chiminage, toll paid for going through a forest. Chinamania, obsession with collecting china. Chine, backbone and adjoining flesh of an animal. Chine, the intersection of the middle and sides of a boat. Chino, strong-twilled cotton cloth. Chintz, glazed printed cotton fabric. Chionoblepsia, snowblindness. Chiral, of, like or pertaining to the hand or handedness. Chirality, chemical property of structural handedness. Chirapsia, massage. Chirk, cheer. Chirm, collective term for goldfinches. Chirocosmetics, beautifying the hands, art of manicure. Chirocracy, government by physical force. Chirognomy, divination by studying the hands. Chirograph, written or signed document. Chirography, study of handwriting or penmanship. Chirogymnast, finger exercise machine for pianists. Chirology, study of the hands. Chiromancy, divination by means of palmistry. Chironomy, gesticulation or mime. Chiropody, medical science of feet. Chiropractic, treatment of disorders of the locomotor system and spinal column. Chiropterophilus, pollinated or frequented by bats. Chirosophy, knowledge of palm reading. Chirospasm, writer's cramp. Chirotony, election by a show of hands. Chiru, straight-horned Tibetan antelope. Chital, Indian spotted deer. Chitarone, long double-necked lute. Chlamydate, having a mantle or hood. Chlamys, horseman's loose cloak. Chlorocrus, green-coloured. Chlorometer, instrument for measuring amount of chlorine in a solution. Cholenoid, shaped like a funnel. Chock, metal casting with curved arms for passing ropes for mooring ship. Choga, loose Afghan dressing gown. Cholelithiasis, production of gallstones. Coleum, verse with an iambus in 5th place and a spondee in the 6th. Cholic, of, like or pertaining to bile. Chola, double chin. Chololith, gallstone. Shomage, work stoppage or slump. Chondrogenesis, production of cartilage. Chondroid, like or resembling cartilage. Choragus, leader of a choir or organizer of musical festivals. Chordee, painful, downward curving erection of the penis. Choreomania, dancing mania or frenzy. Corpiscopal, of like or pertaining to an early local bishop. Cherutic, of, like or pertaining to a chorus. Chorusis, multiplication of parts by branching or splitting. Chorizont, one who disputes identity of authorship. Chorographer, one who maps or describes a region. Chorography, written work or treatise on a region or district. Chorology, science of the geographic description of anything. Chorometry, land surveying. Chouse, to cheat, to swindle. Crematistic, of, like or pertaining to the pursuit of wealth or to business. Crematistics, the study of wealth, political economy. Crematophobia, fear of money. Creotechnics, useful or practical trades or arts. Crestomathic, of, like or pertaining to useful knowledge. Crestomathy, anthology of passages used in learning languages. Chrism, consecrated or holy oil. Chrismation, sacrament of baptism in Eastern churches. Chrismatory, vessel for holding holy oil. Chrism, white robe put on newly baptized child. Chrismalis, the loser who wrote this damn list. Christolatry, worship of Christ. Christophany, appearance of Christ to men. Chromatism, presence of abnormal coloration. Chromatocracy, government by rulers of a particular skin color. Chromatograph, instrument for performing chromatographic separations. Chromatoptometer, instrument measuring eyes' sensitivity to color. Chromolithography, art of printing in color using stone. Chromophilus, staining easily. Chromoxylography, art of printing in color using wood. Chronobiology, study of biological rhythms. Chronogram, inscription whose letters form a Roman numeral date. Chronograph, instrument for recording the moment of an event. Chronography, writing or written work describing chronological events. Chronomancy, divination by means of time. Chronopher, electrical instrument for transmitting time signals. Chronoscope, instrument for measuring very short time intervals. Chronosticon, chronogrammatic line or stanza. Chronosynchronicity, presentation of all stages of a person's life in a single piece of art. Chryselephantine, inlaid with gold and ivory. Chrysoaristocracy, government by the wealthy, plutocracy. Chrysochlorous, greenish gold. Chrysocracy, government by the wealthy, plutocracy. Chrysography, writing in gold or silver letters. Chrysology, study of precious metals. Chrysophilist, gold lover. Chrysopoetics, transmutation of substances into gold. Chrystocrine, rock formation resembling glacier. Chthonian, of, like or pertaining to the earth or the underworld. Chthonography, written description of soils. Chthonophaga, eating dirt. Chuckwalla, herbivorous desert-dwelling lizard. Churching, church ceremony given to women after childbirth. Churchism, devotion to church rules over religious precepts. Chyle, milky fluid secreted into blood by small intestine. Chiliferous, bearing chyle. Chyme, partially digested food. Chymiferous, bearing chyme. Chypra, mixture of resins used in making perfume. Cybarius, of, like or pertaining to food, useful for food. Cybation, taking food, feeding. Cybophobia, fear of or distaste for food. Cyborium, freestanding canopy to cover altar, vessel for holding Eucharistic bread. Cicatrization, scarification, production of marks upon. Cicerone, guide, tour guide. Cicisbeo, male companion of a married woman. Sicanine, of, like or pertaining to storks. Cienega, marsh or swamp. Cilis, haircloth shirt worn as penance. Silosis, spasm or twitch in the upper eyelid. Simelia, treasures in storage. Similiarch, church vestry or treasury. Ximex, bedbug. Simicide, substance used to kill bedbugs. Cimier, crest of helmet. Removable heraldic device or favour of courtly love. Cincture, to gird or surround. Belt worn around ecclesiastical vestment. Cineast, one who takes artistic interest in motion pictures. Cinerarium, container for cremated ashes. Cinerary, of, like or pertaining to ashes. Cinereous, ashen, ash, grey. Singular, shaped like a girdle or ring. Cingulum, girdle or girdle-like structure. Priest's belt. Cinnabar, red crystalline mercuric sulfide pigment. Deep red or scarlet colour. Cinquepats, lively medieval dance with 5 steps. Ciplinarian, one who teaches disorder. Cipolin, white marble streaked with green. Sippus, small column used to mark burial location. Sippus, the stocks. Circa, about, around. Circadian, occurring every 24 hours. Circinate, ring-shaped, rolled inwards, spiraling. Circuiter, about, around. Circuity, motion in a roundabout course. Circumambagus, roundabout in speech. Circumambient, going round about, encompassing. Circumaviate, to fly around. Circumbendibus, a roundabout way or expression. Circumcrescent, growing around, above or over. Circumduct, to cause to revolve around an imaginary axis. Circumflex, accent mark placed above vowel to indicate sound change. Circumforaneous, wandering about as from market to market. Circumferentor, surveyor's instrument used to measure angles. Circumfulgent, shining about or around. Circumfuse, to pour around or about. Circumincession, the reciprocal existence of three parts of the Trinity in each other. Circumjacent, bordering on every side. Circumliteral, around or near the shore. Circumpose, to place around. Circumvallate, to surround with a rampart or fortification. Circumvolution, anything winding or sinuous. Sire, fabric with a glazed finish. Cirrate, having tendrils. Cirript, barnacle or other parasitic crustacean. Cisalure, the art of chasing metal. Cismarine, on this or the near side of the ocean. Cismontane, on this or the near side of the mountains. Cispontine, on this or the near side of a bridge. Cist, tomb consisting of stone chest covered with stone slabs. Cisvestism, wearing strange or inappropriate clothes. Cithara, ancient Greek musical instrument like a lyre. Citigrade, moving quickly. Citrus, lemon-coloured, lemony. Citrine, dark greenish yellow. Cytosis, abnormal desire for strange foods. Civet, long-tailed cat-like carnivorous mammal with musk glands. Cladistics, taxonomic theory distinguishing by common ancestor. Cladogenesis, origin and evolution as if branching from common ancestor. Cladoptosis, annual shedding of twigs and branches. Clados, branching, branched. Clemency, urgency. Clamant, loud, insistent, urgent. Clangor, loud ringing noise or clang. Claptrap, showy language designed to gain praise, nonsense. Clack, group of hired applauders or sycophants. Clarence, four-wheeled carriage. Clariget, to declare war formally. Classis, a group, governing body of Reformed churches. Clastic, able to be disassembled into its component parts. Clatfart, idle chatter, nonsense. Clathrate, shaped like a net or lattice. Clathros, marked with latticed lines or grooves. Claudent, closing, ending, confining. Claudication, limpness, cramp-like pain. Claustral, cloistral, secluded, narrow-minded. Claustration, the act of shutting in a cloister. Claustrophobia, fear of closed spaces. Clavat, club-shaped. Claver, gossip. Claviture, keyboard. Clavichord, old keyboard, stringed instrument. Clavicylinder, square keyboard instrument whose sound produced from a glass cylinder. Clavicymbal, old name for a harpsichord. Claviform, in the shape of a club. Clavigerous, club-bearing. Clavigerous, keeping keys. Claviole, keyed string instrument. Clavis, key. Glossary, index. Legend. Cledonism, circumlocution used to avoid speaking unlucky words. Clegg, horsefly. Cledomancy, divination using keys. Clethrol, completely roofed over. Clem, to starve. Cleep, to name, to call. Clepsydra, instrument which measures time by trickling water. Clerestory, upper story of a church, windows near the roof of a building. Clerihew, jingle summing up person's life in 2 couplets. Clerisy, scholars and educated people as a class. Cleromancy, divination using dice. Cleronomy, inheritance. Clevis, U-shaped fastener with pin used to close the open end. Clue, corner of sail with hole to attach ropes. Clicket, a latch. Clientage, the whole number of one's clients. Climacophobia, fear of falling downstairs. Climacteric, critical time in a person's life, any critical turning point. Climatarchic, presiding over a climate or region of the earth. Climatography, description of the climate of a region. Clinamen, inclination, bias, prejudice. Clinkstone, type of igneous rock that rings when struck. Clinology, study of aging or individual decline after maturity. Clinomania, excessive desire to stay in bed. Clinometer, instrument used to measure slopes and elevations. Clinophilia, passion for beds. Clinophobia, fear of staying in bed. Clinquant, tinsely, glittering. Cliometrics, the application of statistics in economic history. Clitellum, raised band encircling an earthworm's body. Clithridiate, shaped like a keyhole. Clitter, to make a shrill rattling noise. Clivose, hilly, steep. Cloaca, sewer, toilet, cesspool of moral filth. Clochard, tramp, vagrant, hobo. Cloison, partition, dividing band. Clonic, spasmodic, occasional, irregular. Clock, fabric with an embossed design. Cloture, means of ending legislative debate. Clue, main point of interest, dominant idea. Clough, ravine, trench, gully. Clove, old weight of 7 to 10 pounds for wool or cheese. Clowder, collective term for cats. Clupioid, like or resembling a herring. Clipete, shaped like a buckler. Clismian, of, like, or pertaining to or caused by flood. Clister, enema. Synemial, of a like or pertaining to the tibia, shin bone. Cnemes, shin bone. Nicknode, point where tangents form a cone of the second order. Cnidarian, of, like, or pertaining to invertebrates such as jellyfish and anemones. Cocovate, to heap, to cause to mass together. Coadjuvant, mutual assistance. Coadjutor, bishop assisting a diocesan bishop and having the right of succession. Coadunate, to unite, to combine. Cogment, to join or cement together. Coalise, to bring into coalition. Coexuvate, to heap, to cause, to mass together. Coadjuvant, mutual assistance. Coadjutor, bishop assisting a diocesan bishop and having the right of succession. Cogunate, to unite, to combine. Cogment, to join or cement together. Coalise, to bring into coalition. Combing, raised edge around ships' hatches to keep water out. Coaptation, joining or fitting together. Coarctation, constriction. Cobaltiferous, bearing cobalt. Coburg, thin single-twilled worsted fabric with cotton or silk. Cocarde, emblem on airplane's wing indicating its nationality. Cocciferous, bearing or yielding berries. Coccineous, bright red. Cochlea, anything spiral-shaped, twisted spirally. Cockalorum, boastful and self-important person. Cockamamie, ridiculous, incredible. Cocker, to pamper, to indulge. Cocket, official shipping seal, customs clearance form, cockloft. Small room just under the roof. Cockshy, object of criticism or ridicule. Cocotte, prostitute, a flirt or tease. Cocktail, baked, hardened by fire. Codicil, supplement to a will. Codicology, study of manuscripts. Codling, unripe apple. Codon, mouth of a trumpet or bell. Codswallop, something utterly senseless. Nonsense. Cohorn, small mortar for throwing grenades. Coelacanth, lobe-finned fish long thought to be extinct. Coeliac, of, like or pertaining to the abdomen. Coelom, body cavity, abdomen. Coemption, purchase of the entire supply of a commodity. Coenaculus, fond of dining, relishing food, especially suppers. Conestheses, sensation. Coercimeter, instrument for measuring coercive force. Coetaneous, of the same age. Coeval, of the same length of time, having the same duration. Cofferdam, narrow vacant space between two bulkheads of a ship. Coffle, gang of slaves tied together. Coffre, small coffer, presentation box. Cog, single-masted, square-sailed ship with raised stern. Cogent, convincing, compelling. Coggage, paper. Cogitabund, meditative, engaged in deep thought. Cognomen, family name. Cohibit, to restrain. Cohobate, to redistill. Cohyponym, word which is one of multiple hyponyms of another word. Coif, iron skull cap. Coin, angle, viewpoint. Coinstantaneous, simultaneous, at the same time. Col, depression or pass in a mountain range. Collation, filtration. Colopterology, study of beetles and weevils. Coliform, resembling or shaped like a sieve. Collectanea, collection of passages, miscellany. Collectic, adhesive, sticky. Collectivism, doctrine of communal control of means of production. Collegia, mortarboard. Collegialism, theory that church is independent from the state. Coliform, shaped like or resembling a neck. Colligation, bringing or binding together, conjunction. Collimation, making parallel, adjusting to put into line. Colloquation, the process of melting or wasting away. Collocation, the placing of things together. Collogue, to converse confidentially, to conspire with. Colloid, jelly-like. Colloquy, speaking together, mutual discourse. Colluctation, strife, opposition. Collutory mouthwash. Colluvies, accumulated filth, foul discharge. Collyrium, eye lotion or ointment. Colobus, long-tailed African monkey. Colocolo, wild South American cat. Colonnade, row of evenly spaced column or trees. Colonoscope, instrument for viewing the colon. Colophon, publisher's emblem or inscription in a book. Colorimeter, instrument for measuring and determining colour. Colostrum, mother's first milk. Colporteur, peddler of religious tracts and books. Colposcope, instrument for viewing the neck of the uterus. Colubriform, shaped like a snake. Colubrine, like a snake. Cunning, of, like or pertaining to snakes. Colugo, flying lemur. Columbaceous, of, like or pertaining to doves or pigeons. Columbarium, a structure of vaults lined with recesses. Columbine, of or like a dove. Dove-coloured. columella, fleshy part of nose that separates nostrils. Collier, celestial circle that intersects another at the poles. Colytic, restraining, preventative. Comate hairy, comb, ridge atop a helmet, comb cap, ridged helmet. Comburant, burning, causing combustion. Comburivorous, consuming by fire. Comedogenic, causing blackheads. Comphorous, bearing or having hair, hairy. Cometography, scientific description of comets. Cometology, study of comets. Commiferous, tufted. Commitative, indicating accompaniment. Comitatus, band of warriors who escort a prince, a county or shire. Comity, courteousness, civility. Commatic, divided into short lines, divided with commas. Commination, threatening, denunciation. Comminate, to reduce or break into minute particles. Commis, assistant, deputy, apprentice. Commissure, joint, joining surface. Commonalty, common people, the general populace. Commonefaction, act of reminding or admonishing. Commonition, warning, cautioning. Commonative, serving as a reminder. Cormorant, resident of an institution. Cormorant, dying together. Commove, to excite, to put into motion, to disturb. Commose, having tufts of hair. Tufted, hairy. Compaginate, to join, to connect. Companionway, stairs from upper deck of ship to lower deck. Compaternity, spiritual relationship between child's parents and godparents. Compeer, one who is equal in rank, a companion. Compellation, the act of addressing someone. Compellative, indicating address or appellation. Vocative, compendious, concise but comprehensive. Comper, one who habitually enters many competitions. Comperendinate, to delay or defer. Competal, of, like or pertaining to crossroads. Complacent, wishing to please others, obliging. Complinate, level. Complect, to embrace, to interweave. Complicant, overlapping. Complan, prayer service held just before bedtime. Complot, to plot or conspire. Comport, a dish with a stemmed base for serving desserts. Compossible, possible in coexistence with something else. Computation, an act of carousing in company. Comprecation, prayer meeting. Compunction, regret, remorse. Compurgation, clearing an accused person by means of oaths. Compusion, wrinkling one's face. Comstockery, censorship of lewd and salacious material. Conation, mental effort towards a goal, desire, purpose. Conative, of, like or pertaining to purposeful action or desire. Conatus, a natural impulse or tendency. Concameration, vaulting. Concelebrate, to jointly recite the canon of the Eucharist in unison with others. Consonant, a harmony or concord of sounds or voices. Conceptualism, theory that universal truths exist as mental concepts. Concertina, accordion-like instrument with two sets of keys. Concetto, ingenious expression, witticism. Conchiferous, bearing a shell. Conchiform, shaped like a shell. Conchology, study of shells. Conchomancy, divination using shells. Conchiliferous, bearing a shell. Conciliable, secret meeting of conspirators. Consinity, harmony, congruity. Elegance, concipient, conceiving. Concision, schism, separation, division. Conclamation, a shout of many voices together. Concolorate, having the same colour on both sides. Concomitant, accompanying. Concordat, agreement between the Pope and a secular government. Concresse, to grow together, coalesce. Concrew, to grow together, concubitant of a suitable age for marriage. Concupiscence, strong desire, appetite or lust. Condign, well-deserved, fitting, appropriate. Confabulate, to chat, to invent past experiences. Confelicitous, taking pleasure in others' happiness. Conferva, green algae that floats on surface of stagnant water. Confirmand, candidate for religious confirmation. Confitia, prayer of confession of sins. Conflate, blend or fuse together. Conformative indicating resemblance, simulative. Confute, to disprove or overcome through argument. Conge, permission to depart, dismissal, discharge. Congelation, act of freezing something into a solid state. Congenier, something of the same kind or nature. Congeries, aggregation, collection. Congery, gift distributed amongst the people or soldiers. Conglobate, shaped like a small ball or globe. Conglobe, to gather together into a globe or round mass. Conglutinate, to glue or join together. Coniaca, coin counterfeiter. Coniferous, bearing cones. Conification, making conical or pyramidal in shape. Connate, congenitally or firmly united. Connubial, of, like or pertaining to marriage. Connumerate, to count together. Consciential, pedantic or hair-splitting conscience. Consectory, deduction, conclusion or corollary, consequent. Consecution, logical sequence or progression of an argument. Consenescence, state of general decay. Consentaneous, accordant or agreeable, consistent. Consentient, unanimous, of one accord. Consequentialism, doctrine that morality of actions is determined by their consequences. Consilience, concurrence, coincidence. Conciliant, having common inferences drawn from different premises. Consistory, a solemn assembly or council, a church tribunal. Consociate, to ally or associate. Conspecies, different species that are part of the same genus. Conspectus, comprehensive survey, synopsis, summary. Conspue, to despise, to abhor, to loathe. Conspurcation, defilement. Constate, to assert. Constative, capable of being true or false. Constellate, to cluster, to compel by stellar influence. Constringe, to draw together, to cause to contract or shrink. Constructivism, belief that knowledge and reality do not have an objective value. Constuprate, to ravish. Consuetude, custom, familiarity. Consuetudinary, book of customs, traditions and principles. Consultor, advisor to a Catholic bishop. Contebescent, wasting away, atrophied. Context strife, contact, to cover or overlay. Contem, to despise or scorn. Contemner, one found guilty of contempt of court. Contemper, to blend together, to adapt. Contenement, property necessary to maintain one's station. Contesseration, forming a union by breaking a tablet as token. Contextualism, doctrine that context is essential to establishing meaning. Conticent, silent. Contignation, joining together of timber. Contline, space between casks or strands of rope. Contorniate, having a groove around the edge. Contorno, contour or outline. Contra, against. Contractile, having the power or property of contracting. Contradistinguish, to distinguish by contrasting qualities. Contrahent, a contracting party. Contrail, condensation trail. Contraire, against. Contranatant, swimming upstream. Contraplex, having messages passing both ways simultaneously. Contraposition, opposition, contrast. Contrariant, opposed or acting contrary to. One who is opposed to something. Contraterran, opposite in character to earthly or terrestrial. Contravallation, fortification built around besieged place. Contradance, folk dance in which two lines of couples face each other. Contretemps, embarrassing occurrence, mishap. Contrist, to sadden, contriturate, to pulverize. Contubernal, living together in the same tent, cohabiting. Contumacious, stubborn, obstinate, opposing lawful authority. Contumely, insolence, a scornful insult. Contumulation, lying in the same tomb as another. Conurbation, city surrounded by many urban areas. Conure, tropical parrot-like bird of Central and South America. Convenances, what is suitable or proper, the required proprieties. Conventicle, secret or illegal church assembly. Convicinity, neighbourhood. Convolve, to roll together. Copacetic, very satisfactory. Fine. Coparsonery, joint heirship or ownership. Cophosis, deafness. Coprolalia, pathological use of obscene language. Coprolith, ball of hardened feces. Coprology, study of pornography. Copromania, obsession with feces. Coprophagus, eating feces. Coprophemia, obscene language. Coprophilia, abnormal love or fondness for feces. Coprostates, constipation. Copyhold, land tenure dependent on will of the lord of the manor. Cocalico, brilliant red, poppy red. Cocicide, killing of a cook. Coquillage, shell-like decoration. Coracoid, shaped like a crow's beak. Coralliferous, bearing coral. Coralligenous, producing coral. Coram, in the presence of, before. Corban, offering to God in fulfillment of a vow. Corbeau, blackish green. Corbeille, basket filled with earth used as a missile. Corbel, bracket or projection from the face of a wall. Corbiculate, like a small basket. Cordage, ropes in the rigging of a ship. Cordate, heart-shaped. Cordiform, heart-shaped. Cordovan, soft goatskin leather. Cordwainer, shoemaker. Corella, cockatiel. Corf, miner's basket, trolley or wagon. Coriaceous, having a leathery appearance. Consisting of, like or pertaining to leather. Corium, skin layer. Corm, swollen subterranean part of a stem. Cornet, military rank of horn-bearer or standard-bearer. Cornice, moulding at the junction of ceiling and walls. Corniculate, horn-shaped, horned. Cornific, producing or forming horns. Corniform, shaped like a horn. Cornigerous, horned. Cornuted, cuckolded. Cornuto, cuckolder. Coronac, funeral dirge. Coronagraph, instrument for viewing the corona of the sun. Coronoid, shaped like a beak. Corpocracy, government by corporate bureaucrats. Corporal, white cloth on which communion bread and wine are placed. Corpuscent, St. Elmo's fire or similar electrical discharge. Corrade, to wear away through the action of loose solids. Correption, shortening in pronunciation. Corrigendum, something which requires correction. Corrivate, to cause to flow together. Corrody, right of lord to demand free lodging from vassal. Corsetier, corset maker. corselet, armour for the torso, cortege, train of attendants, procession, courtinet, like a cobweb, coruscate, to sparkle, to throw off flashes of light, corvette, highly manoeuvrable armed escort ship, corviform, shaped like a crow, corvine, crow-like, of a like or pertaining to crows or ravens, corybantic, wildly excited, frenzied, coryphaeus, spokesman, leader of a chorus, cosinomancy, divination using a sieve and a pair of shears, kosher, to live on dependence, cosmarchy, rulership over the entire world, especially by the devil, cosmetology, study of cosmetics, cosmism, belief that the cosmos is a self-existing whole, cosmocrat, ruler of the world, cosmogenic, produced by interaction of cosmic rays with Earth's surface, cosmogony, theory of the origin of the universe, cosmography, description of the universe or cosmos, cosmolatry, worship of the world, cosmoplastic, moulding or shaping the universe, cosmorama, a view of different parts of the world, cosmosophy, knowledge of the cosmos, cosmotellurian, of, like or pertaining to both heaven and earth. Cosmotheism, the belief that identifies God with the cosmos. Cosset, to fondle or pamper. Costal, of, like or pertaining to the ribs, costellate, ribbed. Costive, affected with or causing constipation. Coteau, uplands, higher ground of a region. Cotehardy, medieval long close-fitting garment with tight sleeves. Coterie, a social or literary circle. Cothurnal, of, like or pertaining to tragedy. Coticular, of, like or pertaining to whetstones. Cotillion, elaborate ballroom dance with frequent changes of partner. Coquine, man who does women's work. Cotter, short surplice worn over a cassock. Cotta, medieval peasant inhabiting a cottage. Cottonocracy, government by those involved in the cotton trade. Catiliform, disc-shaped with a raised rim. Couchant, in heraldry, an animal lying on its belly with head lifted. Couchy, evening reception. Coulée, steep and dry gully. Couloir, gully. Coulometer, instrument for measuring electric charge. Coulometer, instrument measuring amount of substance released in electrolysis. Coulrophobia, fear of clowns. Coulter, iron cutter in front of a ploughshare. Countenance, approve of, condone, encourage. Counterblast, a defiant pronouncement or denunciation. Counterfoil, part of ticket or check retained by giver. Countermand, to revoke an order by a contrary order. Counterphobic, seeking out situation that is feared. Counterscarp, narrow earth band on the outer wall of a defensive ditch. Coupe, four-wheeled closed horse-drawn carriage. Courant, quick Italian baroque dance involving running steps. Courgette, zucchini. Couter, armour for the elbow. Couvade, symptoms of pregnancy suffered by the father. Couveuse, incubator for babies. Covenous, fraudulent. Cow-cat, person whose function is to occupy space. Coxalgia, hip pain. Coxcomb, foolishly vain or conceited man. Coipu, large aquatic South American rodent. Cozen, to coax or deceive by trickery. Crachoir, spittoon. Crackjaw, hard to pronounce. Crambo, game in which rhyme must be found for given word. Cramoisy, crimson. Crampon, boot spike for rock and ice climbing. Craniometer, instrument for measuring the skull. Crepe hanger, pessimist. Crapulent, physically ill through overeating or overdrinking. Creakleur, fine cracking that appears in old paintings. Crash, coarse drapery and toweling fabric. Crasis, blending, melding two vowels into a diphthong. Crassolingual, having a thick tongue. Crassitude, state of being coarse, gross or crass. Crateroform, cup-shaped. Cratometer, instrument for measuring power of magnification. Creancer, guardian or mentor. Creant, creating, formative. Creatic, of, like, or pertaining to flesh. Creatophagus, carnivorous, flesh-eating. Crebrous, frequent. Creedle, of, like, or pertaining to a creed. Credence, small table for holding sacred vessels. Credenda, things to be believed. Credenza, credence table or shelf, a sideboard. Credo, concise statement of doctrine, section of mass followed by offertory. Cremaillère, zigzag line of fortification. Cremaster, muscle by which the testicles are suspended. Cremnophobia, fear of cliffs and precipices. Crenate, scalloped. Crenel, open space on a parapet used for launching projectiles at enemies. Crenellated, notched, having battlements. Crenitic, of, like or pertaining to mineral springs. Creophagus, flesh-eating, carnivorous. Crepence, sore on a horse's hind ankle joint. Crepe, light crinkled fabric. Crepe hanger, pessimist, gloomy person. Crepitate, to crackle, to snap, to rattle. Crepitus, fart. Crepon, heavy crepe fabric with lengthwise crinkles. Crepuscular, of, like or pertaining to twilight. Crisive, growing, increasing. Cresograph, instrument for measuring the growth of plants. Cresset, iron basket for burning oil to provide light. Cretaceous, of or resembling chalk, of a whitish colour. Cretify, to change into calcium or lime, to fossilise. Creton, heavy cotton or linen cloth. Crewel, fine worsted yarn used in tapestry. Criant, garish, discordantly coloured. Cribble, to decorate wood or metal with small dots or punctures. Cribration, sifting. Cribriform, shaped like a sieve. Cribrous, perforated or punctured like a sieve. Cricoid, ring-shaped. Criminogenic, causing crime. Criminology, study of crime. Criminals. Crin, horsehair fabric. Crinal, of or related to the hair. Crine, armour for the top and sides of a horse's neck. Cringle, loop at corner of sail to which a line is attached. Crinigerous, hairy. Crinoline, stiff flax or cotton fabric. Criophore, sculpture of a man carrying a ram. Crista, ridge or fold resembling a crest. Crithomancy, divination by strewing meal over sacrifices. Criticaster, inferior or petty critic. Cretomancy, divination using viands and cakes. Crochet, saffron-coloured. Croche, knob at top of a deer's horn. Cromlech, prehistoric stone circle. Cromniomancy, divination using onions. Croquinole, curling of one's hair with curling iron. Crosier, pastoral staff or crook held by bishop or abbot. Crosslet, small cross with crossed arms used as heraldic bearing. Crosstrees, horizontal cross pieces at a masthead used to support ship's mast. Crotal, small spherical bell. Crotalin, of, like or pertaining to rattlesnakes. Crotchet, square bracket. Crows, groove in the staves of a cask. Crubine, term for pig's feet as food. Cruciferous, bearing a cross. Cruciform, cross-shaped. Cruentation, leaking or oozing of blood from dead body. Cruet, vessel used in religious ceremonies, especially to hold the Eucharist. Cruve, pen or sty for animals. Criminal, a purse. Crupper, strap of saddle that passes beneath horse's tail. Armour for horse's flanks. Crural, of or belonging to the leg. Cruset, goldsmith's crucible. Cruth, Welsh six-stringed instrument played with a bow. Cryobiology, study of life under cold conditions. Cryometer, instrument for measuring low temperatures. Cryoscope, instrument for determining freezing points of substances. Cryptadia, things to be kept hidden. Cryptesthetic, of, like or pertaining to supranormal perception. Cryptarchy, secret rulership. Cryptodynamic, having secret or hidden power. Cryptogenic, of unknown origin. Cryptonym, secret name. Cryptotype, an implicit and specific rule of language use. Cryptus, of, like or pertaining to crypts. Crystallogenesis, production of crystals. Crystallography, study and classification of crystals. Crystallomancy, divination by means of clear objects. Crystallomancy, divination using a crystal globe. Cteniform, comb-shaped. Centology, study of the inheritance of acquired characteristics. Cubation, act of lying down or reclining. Cubica, fine unglazed fabric resembling shalloon. Cubiform, shaped like a cube. Cubomancy, divination by throwing dice. Cuculin, of, like or pertaining to cuckoos. Cuculate, hooded, hood-shaped. Cucumbiform, cucumber-shaped. Cucurbit, chemical vessel used in a still or alembic. Cucurbitaceous, of, like or pertaining to gourds. Cuddy, right of a lord to entertainment from a tenant. Cuirass, leather or metal armour consisting of a breastplate and backplate. Cuisse, armour for the front of the thighs. Cule, flat back or base of a gemstone. Cule, armour plates for the body below the waist. Culex, mosquito. Culiciform, like or resembling a mosquito. Culicino, mark left on a tablecloth by a wet glass. Cullet, waste glass which is melted into new objects. Cullion, mean or base person. Rascal. Culm, stem of grass or sedge. Culmen, highest point. Culmiferous, bearing coal dust. Culch, flooring of an oyster bed, rubbish. Cultriform, knife-shaped. Cultus, religious ritual, a cult. Culver, dove or pigeon. Culverin, lightweight. Portal, long-barreled cannon. Culvertage, degradation of a peasant to the position of serf. Cumbent, lying down, reclining. Cumuliform, shaped like a heap. Cumulose, containing or consisting of small heaps. Cunabula, cradle. Cunctation, delay, procrastination. Cunete, wedge-shaped. Cuneiform, shaped like a wedge. Cuniculus, full of holes and tunnels, full of rabbits. Cupel, goldsmith's vessel for assaying metal. Cupola, spherical vault or concave ceiling. Cupriferous, bearing copper. Cupulate, of, like or pertaining to a cup. Cup-shaped. Cupuliferous, bearing cupules. Curate, assistant to a parish priest. Curette, instrument for scraping sides of body cavities. Curia, papal court and its officials. Curie, unit of radioactive decay and intensity. Curiology, picture writing. Curiosa, pornographic books. Curlew, long-legged migratory bird with downward curving bill. Curmurring, rumbling or flatulent sound. Curricle, two-wheeled open carriage. Currycomb, metal comb used to groom horses. Cursorial, used in walking or running. Curtle short, abbreviated curtailed. Curtle, kind of archaic bassoon. Curtate, shortened, short. Curtilage, court or field attached to a dwelling. Curule, of high authority. Curvet, to leap, to frisk. Curvicudate, having a curvy tail. Cusec, unit of liquid flow equal to 1 cubic foot per second. Cusk, large Atlantic fish like the cod. Cuspidor, a spittoon. Custos, guardian, custodian or keeper, especially of convents or monasteries. Custral, attendant to a knight. A knave. Cutaneous, of or related to the skin. Cuvette, shallow dish for holding liquids. CWM, valley or glen. Cyaneous, sky blue. Cyanogenesis, production of cyanide. Cyanometer, instrument for measuring blueness of the sky or ocean. Cyanotype, blueprint. Cyathiform, shaped like a cup. Cybernate, to control by means of a computer. Cyberphobia, fear of computers. Cyclers, garment, longer at back than in front, worn over armour. Cyclograph, instrument for describing arcs of circles without compasses. Cyclolith, stone circle. Cyclometer, instrument for measuring revolutions of a wheel. Cyclophoria, squint due to weakness in the eye muscles. Cyclosis, circulation. Cyclostyle, device for making multiple copies of written text. Cyesis, pregnancy. Cyasolania, sexual attraction to pregnant women. Silex, shallow cup with long stem. Silosis, congenital physical deformity. Semaphon, telephone receiver. Cyma, loose light robe worn by women. Cymbiform, shaped like a boat. Cymograph, instrument for tracing the outline of mouldings. Cymometer, instrument for measuring frequency of electrical waves. Cymophonous, opalescent, having a wavy or floating light. Cymatricus, wavy-haired. Synanthropy, pathological belief that one is a dog. Cynotomachy, bear-baiting using dogs. Synergetic, of or related to hunting. Cynoclept, one who steals dogs. Cynography, writing or treatise on dogs. Cynoid, dog-like. Canine. Cynolatry, worship of dogs. Cynology, scientific study of dogs. Cynomorphic, pertaining to a dog's viewpoint. Cynophilist, one who loves dogs. Cynophobia, fear of dogs. Cynosure, anything that attracts attention, object of interest. Siphonism, use of pillorying as punishment. Cypress, silk or cotton gauze fabric, usually black. Cyprian, lewd woman, prostitute. Cyprinoid, of, like or pertaining to carp. Cypslin, of, like or pertaining to swifts. Cyrenaic, adherent of doctrine that pleasure is ultimate goal. Cystolith, calcium carbonate that masses in cell wall of some plants. Cystoscope, instrument for examining the bladder. Cythromania, nymphomania. Cytogenesis, formation of cells. Cytology, study of living cells. Cytometer, instrument for counting cells. Zardas, Hungarian dance that increases in speed. You've just wandered through a quiet garden of forgotten words, each one a whisper, a rhythm, a resting place for your thoughts. There's no need to remember them. They were here only to guide you, gently, into stillness. If you're still awake, that's okay. Just let the silence wrap around you now. And when sleep comes, let it be soft and full of wonder. Good night.